Bubbles. They're not just for champagne or soap. In the world of money, bubbles are these wild, fascinating phenomena where people go absolutely crazy for something, driving its price sky high, only to see it crash back down to earth, leaving chaos in its wake. Today, we're diving into the weirdest economic bubbles in history. Let's kick it off with tulip mania, the first recorded economic bubble, and possibly the most bizarre. This happened in the 1600s in the Netherlands. Back then, tulips were a big deal. People loved them for their vibrant colors and exotic appeal. But somewhere along the line, things got out of hand. Tulip bulbs became a status symbol, and people started trading them like they were gold. At the height of the frenzy, a single tulip bulb was worth more than a luxurious house in Amsterdam. A house. But, of course, reality caught up. Tulips are flowers, they're not rare, and they die. Prices crashed, leaving many people bankrupt. Lesson learned. Maybe don't bet your life savings on a plant. Next up, we have the South Sea bubble of the 1700s. Picture this. Britain was in debt, and along came the South Sea Company, claiming it would fix everything. They promised untold riches through trade with South America, which sounded amazing, except for one tiny problem. They didn't actually have much trade going on. Despite this, people went wild, buying shares in the company at skyrocketing prices. Even politicians and the wealthy elite were in on it. The stock prices hit insane levels, but, surprise, there were no actual profits. When the truth came out, the bubble popped, and fortunes were wiped out overnight. The moral of the story? If something sounds too good to be true, it probably is. But before moving on, we create snackable finance videos that cut the fluff, make complex topics easy to understand, and introduce you to the fascinating side of money. We're not here to give advice or teach lessons, just to share fresh perspectives and spark your curiosity. The Mississippi bubble of French fantasy. Now let's talk about France and its Mississippi bubble. This one's a roller coaster. In the early 1700s, France was drowning in debt. Enter John Law, a Scottish financier with big ideas. He created a company that promised wealth through trade in the Louisiana Territory, the Mississippi region in the US. People in France went nuts buying shares, thinking they'd get rich from this American dream. The problem? Louisiana wasn't exactly a gold mine, and the hype was based on unrealistic fantasies. Eventually, the bubble burst, and the French economy spiraled into chaos. Fun fact, this disaster is one of the reasons France ended up in such bad shape before the French Revolution. Talk about a butterfly effect. The dot-com bubble, internet gone wild. Fast forward to the late 1990s and we hit the dot-com bubble. The internet was the hottest thing on the planet. Tech companies were popping up everywhere, and investors wanted a piece of the action. It didn't matter if the companies had profits, or even a solid business plan. As long as they had .com in their name, people were throwing money at them. Stocks for internet startups soared, and everyone thought they'd found the secret to endless wealth. But then reality kicked in. Many of these companies weren't sustainable. By the early 2000s, the bubble burst, wiping out trillions of dollars and leaving investors scrambling. The upside? Paved the way for tech giants we know today like Amazon and Google. Sometimes, the ashes of a bubble can spark real innovation. The Beanie Baby bubble. Now for something a little cuddlier. Remember Beanie Babies? In the 1990s, these stuffed toys became the hottest collector's items. People believed they'd be worth a fortune someday, so they bought them in bulk, even storing them in plastic cases to keep them mint condition. At one point, some rare Beanie Babies were selling for thousands of dollars. People were treating them like investments instead of, toys. But eventually, the market was flooded with Beanie Babies, and their value plummeted. Today, most of them are sitting in closets or thrift stores. A quirky reminder of how even toys can become financial obsessions. The housing bubble, the crash that changed everything. Last but not least, we've got the housing bubble of the 2000s. This one's less weird and more devastating. In the US, banks made it super easy to get a mortgage, even if you couldn't actually afford one. People started buying homes as investments, flipping them for quick profits. Housing prices skyrocketed, and it seemed like the good times would never end. But they did. When homeowners couldn't keep up with their payments, the market crashed. Housing values tanked, banks failed, and the 2008 financial crisis sent shockwaves across the globe. This bubble burst wasn't just about money. It changed millions of lives. So what's the deal with economic bubbles? They're fascinating, unpredictable, and a little ridiculous. But at their core, they reveal something important about human nature. We're driven by emotion, by hype, and by the fear of missing out. The key is to recognize the warning signs and stay grounded. The next time you see people going crazy over the next big thing, ask yourself, is this a smart investment, or is it just another bubble waiting to pop? Thanks for hanging out with me on Impactarc. If you found these bizarre bubbles fascinating, you'll love diving into 6 worst economic effects that can kill a nation. It's packed with insights into the forces that can unravel entire economies. Click over and check it out next. Until then, stay curious, stay savvy, and take care.